Alrighty, because of what I'm currently in the middle of, I've got to do a lot of kind of hostile videos and a lot of delving into weird shit, and I get sick of it. It's not actually what I want to be doing. It's actually, I've got to do all this so I can get back to a place where I can do what I want to be doing, which is mostly just planting trees. And because I'm uploading all these things, I follow a few people that inspire me to keep doing different things, inspire me to do lots of things. And one of those people is a girl in America named Veronica. Her thing's Vero Venturing, and I'll put it down below. And she just did a video about her removing tattoos on her face. Now, I myself have been critical of people with tattoos because against my dad's instructions, he said, don't bloody get tattoos. And on my 18th birthday, I went and got a fucking shit tattoo. The guy put it upside down and he fucked it all up. And because I was drunk still, it bled and it's all stained. And I never got another tattoo except a weird little home circle job that I did on my ankle. And the younger, it's weird. It's like my generation, or like my age, people who are 38 this year, usually have shit tattoos, and then the year younger than us had a bit better, and then the year younger had these amazing beautiful tattoos because tattoos were like this cultural explosion. And I was jealous of the beautiful tattoos because they're extraordinary pieces of work. And with all the thing, people got a bit carried away, and I have been concerned about lots of things to do with it. But I think Veronica is bang on with the way that she's approaching it. And it's kind of, it took my breath away. It always does, because she's like one of the most courageous women I've ever seen on the internet. Constantly inspired by her putting herself out there, things that people don't want to talk about, like herpes. I've got fucking cold sore that's almost gone. Luckily, I've only got it on, it only comes up there. I haven't got it anywhere else. But it's like, these are things that we don't talk about. And these are things that I myself have discriminated people with these things. My own children's mother, I used to give her shit because she had a cold sore on her eye. And then, of course, karma gets me, and I get this big, hideous one there. And I feel like a dickhead for all those years of kind of giving her shit. And it's this giving people shit thing that used to always exist, and now with the internet, it's expanded into fucking this disgusting realm where people think it's their right and duty to put their 2 cents into everything. Now, ironically, I spend most of my days recently doing the same thing. But I'm trying to expose the kind of places where people are hiding in our political sphere, where they're doing these things out in our public and enacting change and creating these structures that are dispossessing people and causing all kinds of chaos, and then kind of stand behind this non-touchable thing and don't reply to comments and stuff like that. And it's just a hideous mess. The whole internet has turned into this big hideous mess. And then we have amazing kind of pioneers of the digital space like Veronica, who's also right now smack bang in the middle of the California fires, talking about the things, bringing the things that have been kept in the dark out in the light and speaking about them, and putting her face and her personality, her whole reputation on the line to do it. And I think it's amazing. And she's kind of throwing back this tattoo thing, this perception that people with tattoos are criminals, or that they're stupid or something. And I know from my case, like just from watching the generations below me, that all went out the window. Everybody got tattoos, and they are beautiful. But like Veronica's had issues with it, I think a lot of people are going to have issues with it. And when she speaks about the pain involved in the removal, like my heart just fucking goes out to her, because it's like terrible. I'm like, I can't imagine. I don't like pain. I wouldn't want to be doing that. I'm in one place. I'm glad that I don't have the same thing, but I'm just amazingly empathetic to someone who's not just sitting there and dealing with that pain, but also talking about the story and presenting it in a way like with covering the full spectrum. And she's amazing at it. She can approach the things and give warnings, but then not throw people under the bus that have done it, or not add to the discrimination, things like that. And that takes a whole lot of care to put through a subject like that. And I've learned a lot from watching her. She has a brilliant approach where she can do the flashy kind of clickbait stuff and the sexual, the sexy stuff and things like, and then but keep this storyline going of a warning and then support as well, and trying. She's like a policeman on the internet, like a policewoman, sorry, on the internet, trying to give her perspective from a content creator to people that aren't doing it, and showing the whole what it feels like. And basically the internet and these, say Instagram, it's like an amplified version of the world. And people that are content creators, they're a little bit like they're on a stage, and so there's like, we do invite a bit in. I don't get any for some reason, because I think it's, it's complicated. But to constantly watch someone like Veronica, like, kind of give a big fucking finger up to the perceived norm and to this discrimination that exists everywhere, and to like admissions of, all these things, but then gently, so that she's not kind of hurting anyone else, is, in my opinion, like cutting edge digital diplomacy. And because this is an amplified version, pioneers of this type of digital diplomacy are breaking through walls that are sometimes centuries old, and exposing stuff that's been going on in the slower pace legacy media and political world and things like that far quicker and far more effectively and far more efficiently, because I'm pretty sure, just as I am, it's just her and a camera and a dog and a van. It's so efficient, it's so effective, it's fast paced, on the fly learning independently, and observation and experimentation with very small audiences and things like that. And it should be considered as paramount as sending a rocket into space and putting a satellite there, because we're not having issues daily from outer space. We're not having Mars attacks. We're not having asteroids, destroy our cities and leave them in ruins like Hollywood promised us. We're having drugs and social issues and social degradation, all these things. This is what's causing the apocalypse in every location, and especially in California, that's led to these fires and things like that. And so if there isn't funding for, like, what would you call it? Like a pioneering social worker, like a counsellor that's a very efficient, effective counsellor that's distributing really, really relevant and really effective life advice and concepts and support for a group of people potentially left in the ruins, left ignored by their governments. And that exists in California, and it exists in my country as well. And so why, in all these locations, we've got these political figures with hair gel in and all this shit, with multiple staff kind of floating around playing influencer, and then the real heavy lifting and the dirty work is left to these independently funded, pioneering marvels like Veronica. And so I just, like, and on top of it, because people have been so scared by the government's overreach, they're getting in this thing where they're not going to support people like Veronica or others that are doing the same, which just purely is out of self-preservation. And so they're also fighting against the existing systems, whilst being more efficient, more effective, more innovative. Because this environment is brand new. There are no experts. I learned something new every day about humanity, about society, about media and so especially social media and the internet and the dynamics at play and how we're going to actually use our existing laws and interpret them in the digital age. And the more I get to it, the more I realize that there is no separation. We need to treat these places as exactly the same as reality. And we cannot create a world where content creators, who are especially ones that are being incredibly beneficial to their societies, are kind of exposing themselves to untold risk just purely because they're in the environment, while people offline are able to attack them and kind of create anonymous bubbles for themselves while curating specific content that they drip feed to the legacy media or to distributors of media. The internet isn't going away. The internet is taking a big step back away from censorship, and it's leaving our political class absolutely exposed, not to threats and attacks and all these things, although, some of my things are very aggressive towards this class, but just to exposure of incompetency. And it's not rocket scientists, it's not people in a lab with white coats, it's social workers and commentators such as people like Veronica being an amazing example, that are doing the heavy lifting and are ultimately going to be recognized as the new paradigm of social change, of social work, as opposed to these bureaucratic structures that it's upwards of 90% of those roles within these bureaucratic organizational structures are being replaced by a wonderfully charismatic and intelligent young woman with a phone. And so, yeah, I see it there. I see it here. I see it everywhere. And I'm sure, even in third world countries and things like that, it's happening as well. And I think even if it was happening and being ignored, that's kind of forgivable because it's a very, the world is noisy, it's crowded. The digital world's extremely crowded, extremely noisy. But the fact that it's being ignored, disregarded, and then attacked quite heavily to protect their incompetency of the political class is just unforgivable. It's unforgivable in America, it's unforgivable here. And I just think if government put its money, instead of bleeding its money and burning it, its money is going to go 1,000, every dollar spent to someone like Veronica is going to return 1,000-fold of what a prehistoric generation of bureaucrat is going to do. And so perhaps if they had 1,000 Veronicas and, Steves and Pauls and Garys running around, creating this positive landscape for people in those environments, they wouldn't feel so dispossessed and perhaps wouldn't, resort to setting the place on fire and looting and drugs and alcohol. I know it's always going to be there, but we've got to keep our eyes open for people already existing that have voluntarily chosen to dedicate themselves to understanding a very complicated environment and are pioneering both the space and the concepts, because there's such a quick feedback loop. The interaction you have on social media creates such, and when you have viewers that interact, like I'm sure Veronica does, is such a fast feedback loop that she can adapt on the fly and she can constantly elevate herself. And I've watched her for now like 3 years and watched her evolution to and I don't know whether this will come as a surprise. Like, I don't know whether she's going to be like oh, I'm just doing this. I didn't think it would be like that. And I'm like, no, you're on your way to somewhere pretty big. And I think it's a little bit different than what maybe you thought, because you're doing about 7 things at an internationally high level from your van. And that's how countries are built. That's how countries are how they thrive, is by people moving mountains with limited resources. And once they build that muscle up, you give them the resources, and the same efficiency and the same effectiveness is continued on with the higher resources. And so, yeah, I suppose I'll put Veronica in this, and I'll forward it to Donald Trump as well, and maybe he can get some funding to Veronica, so she can assist the people that need it on the ground effectively and efficiently. But yeah, sending you a big internet hug like that, from all the way down under. And yeah, keep up the good work.